Because you mentioned not being alone and feeling lonely, from our traumatic experiences, then, is it possible that because we were in a survival mode after it, we stayed in the survival mode and now we don't want to get rid of anyone because to remind us of when we had to do everything on our own?
Oh, absolutely. Um, One thing that, and not to pitch myself, but I've just developed this crash course for survival patterns for women. And a lot of women are like, hey, my trauma happened 10 years ago. I've done the therapy, done the journaling, did the Pinterest board with affirmations and lit the candles, smudged the room, and Bob's your uncle, right? But I'm still really snappy with my friends. I'm still really guarded. I'm still, I get a text message and my heart sinks to my feet, whatever the case might be. And part of that is the friendship circle. And it is triggering to have to stand up and say, this behavior is not something I want to be a part of. Because when you've gone through trauma and when you're living in survival mode, it has never ever been safe for you to say, I don't agree with this. Because when you say, I don't agree with this, 9 times out of 10, you got retribution of some sort, depending on the situation. Right. And so, I got that from my first husband, where, that was a very domestically violent um, relationship where you couldn't say what you really needed to say. So you just went with the flow because it was safer. After my daughter died, I was sitting on a bench on a church at the funeral, and my mom came and sat down next to me and put her hand on my leg and said, oh, I'm so glad you didn't break down and wail and cry like other women do, and you didn't embarrass us. I'm so proud of you. And so, you learn to keep your mouth shut because you're only comfortable and acceptable when you don't disagree or you don't stand up or you don't speak out. And so when you're in survival mode and you don't recognize it, you don't even know what it is, but these things are happening to you, it's very easy to just say, I'm going to go party with my friends. I'm going to go drink with my friends. I'm going to go do drugs with my friends. I'm going to go have one night stands everywhere I go. Or I'm just going to sit at home and play video games and talk to my friends online. Or I'm just going to stay home and go into chat rooms and feed myself that way. Because speaking up, standing up, opening up was never, ever safe. And unfortunately, that is the way a lot of women get through life. They go through life with peer support that is basically a yes man. Hey, do you think I should do this? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, do you think I should cross this bridge? 100%. I got your back, girl. Do you think I should, like, maybe bungee jump? Absolutely. You go for it. I gotcha. But there is toxic positivity, and that's something I work really hard to not bring to my clients. I'll be like, I don't know. You said you were scared of heights and you fell once and you broke both your legs. And, this might be re traumatizing. Why don't we look at something else that you can do rather than bungee jump? Um, and so it's just easier, right? And humans will always, for the most part, take the path of least resistance.
What are some of the dangers then of this toxic positivity to the women?
Oh, love that because it drives me nuts. When my daughter died, I after a while I didn't even want to go out because everybody would I would run into I lived in a small town, so everybody knew everybody at the time. And it was always like, oh, hi, Bev. Oh, I heard. Oh, she's in a better place. Oh, you must find such grace in the fact that she's in a better place. Or I just can't imagine. And I can tell you, I wanted to punch every single one of them in the face because because it's just so fake and sugar filled and fairy tale and lollipop. And I'm not saying that my daughter is or isn't in a better place. This is not the space for religious talk, but the positivity can blind us from the reality. So, I never ever come at anything with anything other than love, but I'm also not going to blow smoke either because that doesn't serve anybody. If anything, it just keeps you in that loop longer and longer and longer.
Could one of the consequences of toxic positivity be a result in the person who's hearing these things over and over again don't ever accept accountability or responsibility for their actions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very true. And I think I said earlier, the brain is always rewiring itself. So the more we hear the same thing over and over again from either ourselves or the people in our immediate circle, the more our brain believes it. Our brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. It just knows what we tell it. And if you've suffered trauma and you're really seeking validation, which a lot of women do after going through a traumatic experience because they feel like they weren't validated and they probably weren't. Um, but with the toxic positivity, what happens is um, we literally start to believe it, and then um, we never actually deal with the real issue.